off limits, man. Whoa. Okay, calm down.
I'm upset you were fired, obviously, because you were good for our side. It was really valuable to have you. I mean, I'm your friend, so I don't want you to be fired. Also, politically, it was very valuable to have someone as smart as you and polished as you making these points in a professional-looking studio. And that was good praxis. But it is funny because, I mean, they failed the test. You said, I remember, you said,
Right.
and you defended me, and I really appreciated that. You went on your own, they could have fired you over this or treated, it could have been awkward for you, let's say, like, because you said on your radar, on your monologue at the Hill, you said, I don't believe them when they say it was over stylistic issues that they fired Katie. And, they kind of proved, I mean, maybe I like to think also that probably their firing me gave you more time.
A little cover, I think
a little cover, right? Because they couldn't right away fire someone after they claimed that I was fired for stylistic and not ideological reasons.
Yeah, and to be clear, I talked on the phone with Bob Cusack for like an hour about your firing, and he like made a series of insane, illogical, nonsensical arguments about how this was not ideological. And I kept saying, no, it's quite plainly ideological. Like that we all have written, right? Like Robbie, me, I talked about this with Kim Iverson, and she said that she looked at your radar as well before you published it. Like we've all done this, and there was nothing out of step. There was nothing unusual stylistically about your radar. Like that just is it's a ridiculous argument on its face. And then also the rejoinder wasn't like, okay, we're not going to run this radar, but we're still going to have you on the show. We're still going to try to have you as a guest host. We're still going to have you come on once a week on Wednesdays and give your segment. It was just, you're fired, which makes no sense. If it really were about a radar, right, then just don't have you do radars going forward, and like censor that radar. But they went so far beyond that, right? They wanted to punish you for, I think, particularly, my opinion is particularly because you're Jewish, making that kind of a critique in a way that they couldn't just dismiss as anti-Semitism. Although we see they did it with Norm, but it's more difficult to dismiss that you were a specific kind of threat, and they wanted to neutralize you.
Yeah, right. That's an important point, because I was, just so people understand, like I was a weekly guest. So that's when I would do it for free. Like as a guest, you just do it for the exposure. And it worked. I got a free bottle of wine once. I remember someone recognized me from the Hill. But it was good. And I think it does, there is really something to being, even when I'm a remote guest, like when it's a well-produced, the lighting looks great in the studio, right? It gives it a certain kind of gravitas, for better, for worse. It does do that. But what was weird is it wasn't only like, if it had been stylistic, then of course they would have said this radar doesn't work, but we'll see you next week as a guest. Because I was also basically, they'd paid me for a couple of hosting gigs, and I was going to start doing more hosting. So they didn't just fire me, which you would think that they would say, well, maybe the hosting isn't going to work out, so keep coming on as a guest. But yeah, clearly the fact that they eliminated me as a guest, where I was providing them with free content, it was clearly ideological, because they were happy with my content up until that point.
You were a great regular guest. I mean, we got to a point where, like, you used to come on what, like Thursdays? I used to come on Wednesdays as a guest.
Right.
Like, there were a whole bunch of us that kind of had semi-regular, like, it was my guest day. I knew every Wednesday I went on the Hill back in the Crystal and Zagar days. And we got to a point that the Hill had alienated so many people, especially after your firing, like Max Alvarez used to come on regularly. There were so many people who like didn't want to come on anymore because of how you were treated, and rightly so. Like I think, and I think even now going forward, it's going to be more and more difficult for them to get people who are even willing to come on, because they're ruining their own credibility, and it makes the show more difficult to produce when you don't have like regular people who can come on and that the audience is going to like, and then we're going to get a bunch of hits. I mean, I recruited people like, Sabby to be sort of to regular people, like Sabby Sabs. Like I tried to get that going again to a certain extent, but like it was really increasingly difficult because of how many people the Hill had alienated. And frankly, like not every guest is able to appeal to the audience in the way that you did. Your segments did really well.
Thank you.
You know, and it's just crazy that they would shoot themselves in the foot like that. It's just so wild.
Yeah. Really is. It really was wild. Well, Brie, tell us what you're up to next. I mean, we are looking for funders for our show. We're doing a show.
Broadly speaking,
yeah. And we are doing a live show. Me, Brie, Rania, and Abby are doing a live show on in New York City, September 19th, I believe. It's a Thursday. So save it, put it. I know it's far away from right now. Let's see. It's September 19th, a Thursday. Yeah, because we're taking advantage of the fact that Abby and Rania are in town. Abby lives in Oregon and Rania in Beirut, and they're in town for the UN General Assembly. So we're going to be taking advantage of that and doing a live show. That'll be really good. But anything else you want to talk about? Anything you want people to know about what you're working on? Obviously, everyone should support Brie on Bad Faith Podcast, patreon.com/Bad Faith Podcast. Anything else? Anything else you want to talk about with me?
I mean, I've always treated The Hill like a side gig, and like the podcast is my real gig, which is part of why I love that. You're fired, find a job stuff is pretty funny to me. I mean, I have the same job I've had for the last 3 years.
Right.
So I'm looking forward to being able to spend more time. You know, I have been distracted a little from the podcast because of the time commitment that The Hill is required. So I have got a lot of great guests lined up. I'm really grateful to all of the new subscribers that have already come on board. And I'm trying to think of ways to integrate the radar format into Bad Faith, because I do think that is a really useful way to get information. So as soon as I figure out how to get my teleprompter to work, I'm going to try to integrate those into Bad Faith as well. So if you aren't able to support on Patreon, go over to YouTube and just like and subscribe to the channel so you know when stuff comes out. I always release a portion, usually about 20 or even 30 minutes of the premium episodes for free over there as well. So there's lots of content coming out soon.
Great. And let me just read any relevant good super chats. So we got way to go, Katie and Brie, and the world is your oyster now. Thank you. Thank you, Katie and Briahna, for your great reporting. Thank you. Oh, this is a nice one. I hope you and Briahna know there are many people who admire both of you. Thanks for providing us all with truthful reporting in light of all the gaslighting and Islamophobia in the media right now. Since Brie is done with Rising, can we finally get the progressive version of The View consisting of Katie, Brie, Rania, and Abby? Just an idea. We would love that. We will want to do that. Thank you both. I'm glad Brie made it on time today. I don't know what that's a reference to.
I was supposed to do a live stream with the guys from Due Dissidence on Sunday and wasn't able to make it, but I apologized profusely and told them I would make it up to them as soon as they want to schedule a new live stream.
Great. And I shouldn't have highlighted that because it's kind of awkward, but let's see, IDF trying to outdo Mexico.
It's only awkward if people want to make it awkward.
Right. It's not awkward. Yeah. IDF trying to outdo Mexican drug cartels when it comes to torture. Boku, thanks for the stream. Thank you. Hold on. I'm going to text you something because I'm curious if you want us to read it or not, Brie. Hold on. I'm going to text you this thing because it's kind of funny, but it's up to you. Let me see. Hold on. Brie. And guys, if you haven't liked this chat, this stream already, then please do like it. Just give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, please do that also. Let's see. My 3 favorite peeps. That's so nice about me, Brie, and Mark. Raphael says, thank you for covering this topic. Systemic sexual violence in the Gaza war is directed towards Palestinian men and boys. It's Orientalist in nature and has been exported to other militaries. Yep. Oh, best regards from the south of France, the 3 brave intellectuals. Our media drives me up the walls with their lies. Thank you for your tenacity. Thank you. There will be justice for Palestine. Thank you, Katie and Brie. You give me hope. Love Ms. Gray. I'm 100% with her. Brie is a hero. You all are. Fighting the monsters in the belly of the beast as a new multipolar world is born. Keep up the great work, and thanks for having a backbone and standing for something. You use the word logic. A Jewish Orthodox politician just quoted Hitler as a justification. Goodbye, logic. Your point is made. Done. Sealed and delivered. That was insane. Please.
I just watched Zone of breakfast finally today, by the way. And
Oh,
seeing
wow.
that
Okay.
and then watching like back to back was particularly
Oh my
vile.
God.
But never
Yeah.
mind.
Zone
Sorry,
of
I don't mean to
interest is
interrupt.
no. Zone of interest was great. I actually talked about the
was
smearing of him
horrific.
on Crystal and Kyle, but it was a horrific movie, incredibly well done about the commandant
Banality of evil.
banality of
Yeah.
evil. But you know what's
Yeah.
it is the banality of evil, but what's interesting is Israel is not a banality of evil. Israel is like a celebration and gleeful embrace of evil in a way that we didn't see in Nazi Germany, I think. I mean, relating to social
Yeah. I mean,
media,
there's,
relating to being,
yeah.
I think the having a victimhood identity built into it, I think gives you not that the Nazis didn't see themselves as victims of the Jews, but obviously that historical victimhood is not the same as they tried to wipe us out a bunch of times, and they did wipe a lot of us out. But I think that lends people to thinking that they can, get away with a lot, celebrate killing people. I mean, that's a huge conversation, obviously, but
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, not in the wrapping up with super chats conversation. But I'm curious what you have to say in response to that. Let me just Brie, Katie, Abby, Rania, the Fantastic Four. If PBD wanted to hire you, would you move to Florida? Who's PBD? Oh, that
PBD.
guy. He's like, I just heard about him. Someone just mentioned he has a huge podcast. I don't even, yeah. You'll have to tell us about who it is. I don't remember who it is, but yeah, sorry. So you said you just saw, oh, this is interesting. I'm Israeli, by the way. I live in constant sorrow and guilt. People like you give me hope. Thank you. Oh, and yes, I missed that. Someone said that they wanted us to do call-in again. Okay.
Is it even, I thought it wasn't operational anymore.
I don't think it is. Yeah.
I've been thinking about doing
oh,
locals. I mean, the locals people have reached out and they really want me to do a show. It's another paid thing though. I liked calling because it was free to the user.
Right. Exactly.
And so it felt like, am I really going to do another thing that's sort of behind a paywall? I don't know. I'm not that enthusiastic about it, but I do miss having the conversations. So I have to figure that out.
Yeah. But yeah, that was, in case people, and hi, Martha Allen, by the way, from the Women's Institute for Freedom of the Press. Thank you for your super chat. In case people missed it, there was literally a former Likud leader citing Hitler as a model of how, basically saying Israel can't live with Palestinians, and he cited Hitler, who said,
like, we got to kill everyone, basically.
Yeah. Unbelievable. Okay, let's see. Congress's red line against Israel's genocide is like Richard Spencer's red line against David Duke's white supremacism. In fact, let's have Spencer and Duke debate Israel-Palestine conflict. Let's see what is David Duke's anti-Zionism. Feeling his anti-Zionism is not going to be close to our anti-Zionism.
Is David Duke even anti-Zionist? He's not like one of the Christian Zionists?
I think he is. I think, I don't know. That's a fun game.
Because a lot of them are there's a very anti-Semitic sort of, I need you to be in Israel when Jesus comes back so he can smite you all with the red cows or whatever. I don't know.
I think they're like 400 of us that survive or something. Yeah. No, it's not a very philo-Semitic worldview. Let's see. We got luck of the Irish, Germans, Koreans, Vietnamese, Palestinians, and anti-Saint Sam Kinison, Sparky's old friend. Okay. Brie, I think this is a perfect way to end this chat. Brad made you something. Oh, and did you see the thing I texted you?
I thought we were going to do that one.
Okay.
I said it.
Okay. All right. Let me just find one. Start. Let me do that. This is a good one. This is actually good. Okay. So Briahna, we went on a couple of dates almost a decade ago. You said you were sick of law and that you wanted to make an impact with your voice instead. So it's cool to see you pop up over the last decade doing exactly that. Keep your head up. Your strength's amazing. I need to know who this is. Give us a hint. Tell us where it was. I was single. I was living in New York for sure. And I was single starting in like a 2015 era. And then I was single basically all of 2015. And then I started dating someone again like 2016 through 2018.
And
When
so
I
I
said
think that
where
would have been the
I mean, like, the
window.
rest
So who
like,
did I
what
date
rest
in 2015?
maybe he could tell
Sorry?
us maybe it could be, like, what restaurant he was in, maybe?
SK. Are those initials? SK. SK.
Someone wrote Eli
A
Lake, that would be
couple of
really funny.
dates. I promise I never went on a date with Eli Lake.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's I hope you're doing well. And it's true, I
Yeah.
was sick of the law. I even in 2015, at which point I would have been a lawyer for only 4 years.
Wow. Yeah, if you remember where it was, anything that can jog our memory, let us know, SK, but thank you for that. And Brie, I'll Venmo you some of that since it was a nice generous
Stop.
donation, and it was, yeah.